As soon as Alice took the first bite, she couldn't believe just how delicious was this. But she gets more depressed, as Merlin is not only better at fighting, but is also better at cooking. She tells Merlin that from now on, she will do the chores, and he will be in charge of meals. The next day at the Adventurer Guild, Merlin was cursing Hobbs, as what he said about the race isn't accurate at all. Hobbs tell him to calm down, as it's very normal to lose 1 or 2 times in races. But when he heard that Merlin has never won even after betting 100 times, he got shocked. Still, he motivates Merlin to try a few more times. But Merlin has no money, as Alice really hides the money well. So he take out the key, and concluded that treasure hunting is more reliable. Suddenly, Merlin felt someone's gaze on him. It was Calzona, who went to look for Alice, but noticed the key in Merlin's possession. She knows that Merlin is Alice's husband, and she doesn't feel any mana from him, so she smiled, as she can definitely take the key from a mere villager. Hobbs then offered Merlin to go to Helena's secret cottage, as it's a place any man would understand. Merlin got curious about this secret cottage, and agreed to go with Hobbs. Merlin then reached the secret cottage along with Hobbs and another man from the guild. Merlin looked at Helena and thought that Alice should see what a real woman looks like. Hobbs then introduced Merlin to Helena, and as soon as Helena saw Merlin, she got shocked. She then took the 3 men to the VIP room, where Hobbs and the other man were enjoying their time. After a while, Calzona, dressed as a performer, arrived, and showed her moves to impress Merlin. But Merlin thought that there is something wrong with this woman, so he insulted Calzona and tried to leave. But before Merlin could leave, Helena informed him that someone wants to meet with Merlin. This shocked Hobbs and Merlin, as they thought that this someone is Alice. Helena was taking Merlin underground, so Merlin thought that luckily it's not Alice, as he'd definitely get a good scolding if that guardian of justice were to know about this. After reaching the place, Helena quickly bowed in front of Merlin and greeted him. Merlin realized that Helena is a demon, so he asked her how did she recognize him. Helena explained that she is the servant of the demon king of the 4th palace, the ruler of lust, Asmodeus, who is a friend of Merlin. Merlin got shocked, as Asmodeus is a demon who, in order to save his palace from economic depression, dressed as a woman and become an idol. And after explaining everything to Merlin, she left. After entering the room, Merlin noticed a magic mirror, so he sat in front of it, and asked Asmodeus to show himself. Asmodeus appeared and greeted Merlin. Merlin tried to act smug in front of Asmodeus, but when he revealed how Merlin fell in love with him when they first met, Merlin tells him to stop. Asmodeus informed Merlin that the parliamentary elders are looking for him, as the title of the first Demon King Palace, the ruler of pride, is empty. Merlin asked if Asmodeus just want to say this. Asmodeus then tell him that his subordinates found some traces of Hell's envoys in Great Britain, and as Merlin started a feud with Hell before, so Asmodeus suggested him to be careful. But Merlin tell him to not worry, as if the Lord of Hell, Satan, came, then he will just slay him. After the meeting, Merlin tell Helen to not call him Lucifer, as he's not the Demon King anymore. Helen misunderstood his intentions and thought that Merlin is on a secret mission for the demon race. Merlin knew that Helen is misunderstanding him, but he still tried to use her and said that for the sake of the mission, he wants her to pay his debt for him. But as soon as Helen heard that the debt is more than 10 million gold coins, she quickly shut the door on him and tell Merlin to go home and sleep. And as Merlin was going home, Calzona was following him and decides to kill Merlin. She quickly dashed toward Merlin and attacked him with her daggers, but Merlin sensed the attack and used his swords back to knock her down. He realized that it's the same lady from the pub, so he tell her to stop hitting on him and left. Calzona was in shock and realized that Merlin was hiding his strength, so she won't be able to take the key back alone. The black portal opened and asked Calzona about the mission. Calzona bowed and told the man that the opponent is probably at the peak of saint rank. This shocked the man, and he realized that Bernard was defeated by Merlin. Calzona then asked the man if he remembered the Frost Saint Dragon Isram. This Frost Dragon is one of the 6 Saint Dragons, and it formed a contract with the former king. And the dragon was sealed by the 1,000 court mages when the realm was destroyed. Calzona said that she knows the language of dragons, so she can awaken Isram. The man said if Isram still abides by the contract with his father, then their strength will be doubled. The next day, Alice was training with Merlin to quickly reach the saint rank. But just like before, she attacked Merlin with magic, but he easily knocked her down. While resting, Merlin suggested her to change her style, as being a magic swordsman is too much for her. But she refused, as she has vowed to become the successor of the Great Snow Mountain, when she was training with her teacher. She then asked Merlin, is his weapon the reason he's so strong? Because in the past, the bishop told her that the demon sword that Merlin uses is strong, but he, as a person, is not. But Merlin denied this and explained that this sword is the weapon of the king. It's mainly used to prove one's identity, and those who are not acknowledged by the sword can't even pull it out. He then gave his sword to Alice and asked her to try pulling it out. Alice tried pulling it with her full force, but was unable to do it. And after resting for a while, Alice started her training again. While fighting, Alice used her new move on Merlin, but before Merlin could react to that, his heart felt intense pain. Unable to handle the pain, Merlin starts falling toward Alice. Alice realized something was wrong, so she used her full force to change the direction of the attack. But still her sword scratched Merlin. Finally, his heart stopped hurting, but Alice was scolding him for head-butting her. Merlin looked at his hand and was confused, as even though Church's holy water don't work on him, but Alice's sword managed to cut him. He picked up the sword and noticed that the sword is strange. It was as if it's defying him. He returned the sword to Alice and asked her why did she put a seal on it. But Alice has no clue about it, as she stole this sword from her teacher. She explained that she secretly ran out of the mountains, thinking she is ready for the outer world. Merlin then insulted Alice for running from her teacher and ended the training. At night, Merlin was looking at his wound, thinking that Alice's sword is not a normal weapon, as it managed to injure him. The next day, Alice takes Merlin to meet her friend, Vinci, so she can tell them about the key. And as Alice went close to Vinci, she was grabbed by a woman named Rossetti from behind. Alice looked at her in a disgusted way, but the woman shouted that she has bigger breasts, is more popular, live in a bigger place, and don't have several 10 million debt, nothing else, so why is she so hostile towards her? Alice couldn't handle her sweet words, as she coughed blood from her mouth. Rossetti then looked at Merlin and asked Alice if he's her husband that everyone is talking about. But Alice refused and said that they are not married, but just a normal married couple. Rossetti then quickly pressed her melons against Merlin and asked him if she is better than Alice or not. But before Merlin could say anything, Alice jumped between them and tell Rossetti to stay away from Merlin, as he's hers. But in front of Merlin's and Rossetti's cold gazes, she changed the topic. Alice thought that the only person she likes is Elgin's master swordsman, but the food Merlin makes is really delicious. Without wasting any time, Merlin showed the key to Vinci and asked her about it. After looking at the key, Vinci tells him that this key is a remnant from the previous realm. And when she tried to examine it through her magic, she felt an ominous aura from it. Terrified, she tells Merlin that the aura this key is emitting doesn't belong to this world. She then asked Merlin to give the key to her so she can study it thoroughly. Merlin refused it at first, but after Alice's guarantee, he gave the key to her. After some days, Calzona reached the place where the frost dragon is sealed. She looked around and realized that they have paid a miserable price to seal it, as so many high-rank mages have died in the ice torrent. She then went close to the sealed dragon and started speaking in dragon's language. Oh, the great descendant of the 6 saint dragons, the ruler of ice, the protector of the royals that have slept till now, awaken upon my summoning. Then the next second, Icerim awakens and appeared in front of Calzona. Calzona introduced herself and asked if Icerim remembered her. Icerim tells her to stop using her crappy dragon language, as Icerim can speak the human language. Calzona then bowed in front of Icerim and congratulates Icerim on the revival. Icerim asked, how is she still alive, as she has long passed the limit of a human's lifespan? Calzona explained that she is revived by His Highness Copperfield, who has lived until now through the blood of elves and is working hard to revive the previous realm. She then asked Icerim to help them in this, but Icerim refused and said that she protected the kingdom because of the contract with the king. But there is no need for that now. Calzona asked Icerim to help them in return for reviving her, but she still refused, as helping them revive the realm isn't fair. Calzona then asked her to defeat a person for her, so Icerim agreed. Meanwhile, Merlin suddenly woke up, as his heart starts hurting again. And while Icerim was thinking of killing the enemy, Merlin was also thinking of killing a strong individual to ease up the curse. The interval of the curse is shorter than usual, because recently Merlin killed Bernard and Ian, but they both were undead, so killing them didn't help with his curse. and even the Goblin Emperor was so weak that it couldn't alleviate his curse so well. Alice came downstairs and got shocked to see Merlin, who was crying in pain. She tried to help Merlin, but he refused for her help and lay down on the bed. Alice put the blanket on Merlin and said he doesn't have to bear it alone. If something like this happens, he can just call her. But she realized what she just said and quickly changed the topic. She said that she is just worried about him, because they pay the rent together, so if he died for no reason, then she will be in trouble. Merlin was thinking that even Alice is pitying him, and he fail as a demon king. Alice then put hot milk on the side and tell him to take care, and as Alice was leaving, Merlin stopped her. Merlin said that they have been resting for a while, so they should do some work now. He also tells Alice to at least think about what she is wearing, as her clothes are translucent, though he's not interested in a flat chest. Alice then shouted at Merlin and quickly went upstairs. The next day, at the guild, Alice was scolding Hobbs to take Merlin to an indecent place. Alice and Merlin were checking the missions which they can accept. Luja then informed them that yesterday she received a specific request for them. The request is from the Sujeji village at the foot of Ben Nevis mountain. She tells them that the villagers there are getting attacked by the dragons. Luja added that there's the rumor of a dragon eating humans and even demanding young girls as sacrifices. The level of the mission is S and the reward is 20,000 gold coins. Merlin asked about the dragon's strength and Hobbs tells him that it's not a normal dragon, but one of the 6 saint dragons. And as Iceram was sealed nearby, so it must be her, Iceram, the ice dragon. This shocked Luja, as even the Thorn Knights can't defeat one of the 6 saint dragons. Hobbs comments that only the Demon King that lives in the north can defeat one. Luja asked why only the Demon King can defeat one. Hobbs explained that a few years ago, the sacred dragon Ives went to fight Lucifer III but never returned from there. Meanwhile, Merlin was happy to hear such praises about himself. Merlin then thought that if it really is Iceram, then this is worth exploring, so he said that they will accept the task. Luja was against this idea as this is dangerous. But Alice said that if there are casualties, then she can't just sit back and watch this to go on, so they will take this task. After a while, Arnold barged into the guild and asked Alice to return his heart that she stole from him. But Hobbs told him that Alice is away on a mission with Merlin. At the same time, Merlin sneezed, so Alice asked him if he's feeling cold. But Merlin replied that he never feels cold, maybe someone is saying bad things about him. Alice tells him the reason why he doesn't feel cold, because he's a cold-blooded animal. Merlin then removed his gloves and touched Alice's cheeks, and to Alice's surprise, his hands were warm. He then revealed that the demon's body temperature is higher than human. Alice then throws a bag at him and said, as he lost so much money on horse racing, that he can't even afford a scarf, so she is gifting him one. Merlin said that the scarf looks like a bargain, but whatever lands in this devil's hand belongs to him, so he wear it. They then noticed an ice mountain, and wondered if this was the doing of the ice dragon. Meanwhile, Iceram was waiting inside the ice mountain while enjoying its human food. Kultsona then informed her that the target is going to arrive soon. Iceram was excited, as after killing this human, she will go to meet her old friend Ives. But after hearing the name Ives, Kultsona got pale, and when Iceram asked her the reason, she revealed that she heard a rumor about Lord Ives. She heard that Lord Ives had died under the hands of the ruler of pride, Merlin Lucifer. This angered Iceram, as there is no way a mere demon king can kill her friend Ives. Iceram then decides to go and check this herself after killing this enemy. Merlin and Alice then reached outside the mountain, where a little girl named Simon greeted them, and said that she was the one that invited them to defeat the dragon. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe,